So we have received the crown from the lab. So first, before the patient is taken on the chair, we need to check the crown in the model. Or if they have written something, we have to check. So if it is from dent care lab, they will write reduce the yellow marked area. So what is the yellow marked area? They have said reduce the lower tooth a little bit so that it doesn't act like a interference. Okay, we check the crown fitting on the model first, we check the proximal area, we check the margins, nowhere it is high. This has to be done when the lab work has come in the clinic, so that we can postpone the patient's appointment. If there are any problems, we don't need to show it to the patient, we can postpone the appointment, we can take a new scan, or we can tell the lab that on the model this work is not fitting as well, so you need to change it. Okay, now we will take it in the patient's mouth. So now, as this is a vital tooth, we will need to give some anesthesia before we start the case. अभी उसको pause कर दो मैम. What we are making sure is there is no debris on the tooth surface. So first we remove all the debris which is stuck around. The ideal way would be to give a temporary crown to every patient after we have discharged, before we have discharged them from the clinic, so that the tooth is not moving. Okay, just removing the excess. Okay, just removing the food debris. रिंस कर लो. नहीं है, इतना एयर कर रहा हूँ, नहीं हो रहा है. रिंस कर. To check the proximal seating first. So whatever first what we do is we check how the crown sits proximally. Okay, we are not going to check occlusion first we are going to check proximally. How we are going to check proximally? We are just going to see the contacts. This sprain on pressure is happening because the crown is going slightly subgingival, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. Now bite. So first we want to check whether the crown is seated fully on the margins. For that we can take an X-ray and see. If the X-ray shows there is an open margin, then we don't try to force the crown to seat. We have to reduce the proximal surface. Open. How we reduce the proximal surface? We don't reduce the proximal surface in the mouth. We put it back on the cast. Bite paper दीजिए ना sister जल्दी. So imagine that we have taken an X-ray and we found that there is slight distance or slight discrepancy in the margin when the crown is not seating fully inside. How this crown is seating fully, but imagine if it is not seating, then what to do? So we pressed the crown in the patient's mouth. It was not seating fully. We took an X-ray to confirm the dry fit. There was a discrepancy. Now we understood why it is not going fully inside. Mostly it is because there is a proximal tightness. So we removed the crown from the patient's mouth. We put this bite paper on the model like this, and then we seat the crown. Okay, and we press it tightly. So we press it, and then once you remove this bite paper from here, you will get a small mark. Can you see this mark? This mark represents where the maximum contact point will be in the patient's mouth also. So you do it buccally, mesially and distally, you will find, and here only you can reduce slightly, very slightly, with a red diamond burr. You can reduce it just the point area, just this point, and then try to fit it again in the mouth. If it is going well, if it is not going, again you seat this, again you put this bite paper here, proximally you tighten it, again you check, then it will go mesially and distally both. But don't overdo it. You need to do it very slightly. You need to do it 4 to 5 times to get the proper proximal fit. Otherwise this contact will become open and then it will be difficult. If the contact becomes open, we have to repeat the crown. Zirconia monolithic cannot be adjusted, it cannot be layered at such a small thing. Yeah, so we have to repeat the crown. Now I have seen it is going properly, proximally it is seating well. So again what we will do, we fit the crown in. Sorry. Okay, yeah, we fit the crown in, and now we first do the static occlusion check. Static occlusion check is bite, tap tap tap, keep doing tap tap tap, keep doing tap tap tap, tightly bite, open. Now this is the static occlusion check. So with this check, what we found, there is some mark on the occlusal surface. On the occlusal surface, we are getting 1 point. Now we carefully see what this point is showing us. This point is like a circle. It's not a point, and in the center of the circle there is nothing. There is no mark. Articulating paper has not left any mark. So what this means is that this crown is very high in this area. Why I'm saying this? Because if you see this mark, this is a blue dot, and this mark is a circle. Circle is formed when the articulating paper is crushed in between the point and the lower tooth and the antagonist. Why it has happened is just like a circle, because when it punctures, the centermost high point which is there, actually the marks is getting displaced. It has got displaced and it has deposited around that. So what we need to reduce here is, we need to reduce the internal portion of the circle, not the border. If we touch the border, we are doing the wrong thing. Generally people, what they do is, they will try to reduce the blue mark. That's not what you have to reduce. If you get a circle, if you get a dot, yes, you reduce, but if you get a circle, you don't reduce, you reduce only inside the point. And we will also reduce this point because it's maxilla, and we should not get any point on the buccal surface. We should get all the points on the central fossa or the parietal surface. But as we have seen in the model, dent care has mentioned us to reduce the lower tooth ka buccal side. So we will reduce the lower tooth buccal side, we will not touch the crown. When reducing any tooth for occlusal adjustment, we are going to use red ring burr or yellow ring burr. नहीं ना, है ना दूसरा, हाँ तो इसलिए रख दो ना open. So how we are going to reduce? We are going to reduce the lower margin. We are going to shave it slightly. First we do the buccal slope of the buccal cut. So buccal slope means outer slope, the slope which is facing towards the cheek side. That slope we are going to reduce. And then we are going to reduce the open internal slope, that is the lingual slope of the buccal cusp. We are all doing it and the buccal cusp only, but here we are going to reduce the lingual slope of the buccal cusp. So that's how we reduce the slope. Outer slope and then the inner slope. So this maintains the anatomy of the cusp. If you do it flat, it will completely destroy the anatomy of the cusp. Now again, we have to wipe the gauze. Yeah, fibers, links वगैरह सब अटक जाते. Because now we have adjusted the crown. Open. We'll seat it again. Then we again, okay, again we need to wipe it. Put some Vaseline on the articulating paper so that the marks are better. Bite. Tightly close, tightly close, tightly close. Tap, tap, tap. We are still doing everything in static. We have not gone to the tightly, tap, 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 tightly, tap, 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 tap. Open. Okay. Now, okay. Now I'm again going to remove it. ऊंचा लग रहा है कि tap करते टाइम हम लोग? नहीं ऊंचा लग रहा है, ठीक है. So now the intensity of that circle has reduced. Yeah, it has slightly reduced. नहीं, नहीं, नहीं sister. ये this has reduced. Yeah. So once this has reduced, patient is comfortable, there is no high point according to the patient, we can leave that much. Okay. Only on this area, we can see it is slightly going on the buccal slope. So wherever there is a contact on the slope, we don't want any contact on the buccal slope. So that I will reduce. Cap, yeah, bowl. That point with a shaving motion with lot of water and a red ring burr, not a blue diamond, a red one. Okay, we can only do about 100 microns of correction in zirconia in one visit, only 0.1, not more than that. Otherwise, there will be a phase transformation which all anyhow happens whenever we touch the burr. It will be happening. Phase transformation will happen from tetragonal phase to monoclinical phase, and it will reduce the strength of the zirconia. For readjusting that, we have to polish the zirconia really, really well. Okay, open. Keep it open. Sure. Bite. Tap tap tap, जोर से tap 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 tap. Open. Now this was everything has happened in static till now. Okay, now we are getting a very slight line. In static, we are getting a slight line on the buccal cusp. Again, that is not good. We should not get any line on the buccal, on anywhere. Posteriorly, anywhere a line is not good. A point like this is very good. Can you see this point? This is very good. But a line is not good. So I am going to reduce that line also. इसको वापस नहीं रखो, बाउल दो. So okay. Gauze दो. Yeah. Again. Tap 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 tap. Keep doing tap tap tap. ऊंचा नहीं लग रहा ना? ऊंचा तो नहीं लग रहा है ना? हाँ. Even if the patient is saying ऊंचा नहीं लग रहा है, तो भी we are reducing the crown a little bit, because that is still an interference. So patients will have their open. Patients will have their own sensitivity towards occlusion. Yeah. Now it is not there. Yeah. Now you see what we are getting are only points. We are not getting any line. Drags नहीं दिख रहा है कोई भी. ठीक है. So in static we have adjusted the occlusion, but now we are going to do it dynamic. So now when we do dynamic is always dynamic. In dynamic movement, we should not see any line or point, mostly line only. We should not see any line in posterior. So bite, but chew normally how you chew your food. Chew normally how you chew your food, from outside to in. हाँ, outside to in, outside to in. Yeah, yeah. Outside, पहले इस तरफ chew करो. हाँ, outside to in, outside to in. Very good. Open. चलो. So this much is good enough. Okay. Now here also again we are not getting any mark. Yeah, we are getting just point, which is to the static. We are not getting any line. Okay. Now if you observe very carefully on dynamic occlusion, there is a very small point on the tip of the buccal cusp here, right? This we don't want, because buccal cusp contact should not be there in maxilla on any movement, either centric or eccentric. So this we are going to reduce. Slightly out of occlusion on the central fossa, we can see there is a lot of attrition. It doesn't mean that we should, yeah, it doesn't mean that we should give buccal cusp tip contact. In any case, we should not give buccal cusp tip contact for the maxilla. Sure. We are reducing now. This is the final check. Open rakho. This is the final check. We are going to take another articulating paper, coat it with a little bit of Vaseline. Coated, hai na? Yeah. Okay. First tap tap tap. Open. Now check where the point is open, where this mark is coming. Okay, with Vaseline slightly it is becoming darker. Now what we do is chew normally while you have food. Chew how you have food. Yes, outside to inside. Yeah. Okay, open. Now we check, is that the same area? Okay, it's almost the same area. Yeah. Let me show you what is meeting where. This area is almost the same area what we had got last time. Right now it is little darker because we applied little more Vaseline, but this is closer to the central fossa. The tip we want to reduce, so still further I will reduce. We want the contact only near the central fossa. So here now our crown will be too much, grinding will happen, so I'm going to reduce the lower tooth a little bit. So you see this area, outer slope of the distobuccal area, that's what I am reducing. Outer slope of the distobuccal area. Yeah. So done. Open. Remove all the other marks. Open. Keep it open. Cap किधर गया? हाँ. Remove the old marks. Open. Put it back in. Make sure everything is dry. Again, tap, tap, tap. Open. Okay. What we are getting is a very small dot now. Yeah. Bite. Grind. Open. Okay. Again, we are getting only dot. We are not getting any major line. Yeah. That's what the final occlusion. Now, in our case, we have lingually and central fossa is completely attrited. Only the buccal cusp tip is slightly more. So ideally, this patient, if we want to restore properly, we require to do a lower tooth crown also, so that we can build this up. But here, how we will going to build it up? We are making sure there is no interference in the buccal cusp on the maxilla. Lower one, we can build it up with a composite also. We can add a composite on the occlusal surface here, and we can make sure that it meets the upper central fossa or the palatal cusp. Right now, this tooth is like this. So this is higher. So obviously, this is not going to meet, only this is meet. But finally, we are done with the final occlusion setting, and we are now ready to bond this zirconia crown. अभी इसको बंद कर दो मैम वीडियो को अभी